A lot of Ranger fans have been wondering, when will the 30th take place? We've kind of had a lot of thoughts on where this episode is going to take place in the Power Ranger timeline. Is it going to be the future, past, or present? We just don't know. Now, we were kind of thrown off on this due to the fact that there was the Green Ranger, and we've had a lot of talk about which Green Ranger is it going to be, JJ or Adam. My money was mainly bet on Adam because that would make more logical sense, and obviously JJ is a kid who wouldn't be able to fight at all, and we know how parents are. They would say, no, you're not fighting whatsoever. But we've actually had some information from the Global Nerds podcast, which I'm on, where we interviewed Catherine Sutherland, and she actually dropped quite a bit of knowledge on this and actually gave us a bit more insight, which I'm really kind of grateful for. And we can actually say that all of this is in present day. Here is the clip for you to actually see and then kind of go like, oh, that's pretty cool.
From the cat that we saw, because he did piggybacking off a Ninja Steel, is that the same cat that we're going to see in the 30th, or is that a different iteration of cat?
Oh, yeah, because they were talking about the dimensions, weren't they? I believe it's probably the same version.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably the same, and it's set in current times, so
yeah, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to drag this out, but I do find it interesting that we're actually in the current day, and everything we might have known about this 30th has completely changed, and there are going to be more videos that I'm going to be dropping talking about all of this. Now, I made a video on the flashback scene, and everyone has been saying that it's a flashback, and I will definitely still say that I do not think that this is a flashback whatsoever. And there's so much there that we can see that this trailer's dropped. The information that we're getting just kind of leads up, in my eyes at least, that I do not think that this is a flashback, and we're going to be talking about this in more depth on other videos, etc, etc. There's so much to talk about 30th. I cannot wait for this to finish because there's going to be so much information that we can talk about after the 30th as well. Now, all the evidence that I've kind of seen, and I think the biggest one that I definitely am going to say, is that we see that Billy, or David Yost, is actually fighting the putties. He's got a cut on his lip, there is blood, there is bruises, there's everything in this. And obviously with the scene that they're taking place on top of a hill in obviously New Zealand. But when you kind of look at it and see how everybody else is fighting, I do strongly kind of stand by this, that it's not just going to be like, oh, it's a flashback, because all of this doesn't make sense for it to be a flashback back in time, because this would lead to two major big battles. Now, the reason why I'm going on about this is I don't think that we'd have two major battles where they sit around for half an hour going, oh man, do you remember that time we did this X, Y, and Z? Now, when I wrote this entire script, I thought, hang on a minute. Like, what happens if someone turns up and says like, oh, this could have taken place within Super Megaforce, or this could have taken place in Beast Wars, in Beast Morphers. It just doesn't really make sense, because obviously Rita is fighting with them or kind of stirring her putties on. So I don't think it would take place in that. What I do believe is that the Rangers kind of go through their entire thing. They meet up, they talk, they actually get their powers back, which we've seen, and just therefore go after the putties. And these are the monsters that we've talked about and Netflix have dropped, is that it's going to be Minotaur or Minotaur as well as Snizzard. And it just seems a little bit weird that you're going to include these two monsters. And we know they're not just going to turn around and sit around the command center reminiscing about the old days. We know that's not going to happen. We also know that they're not going to show footage from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, because that would absolutely just make no sense to have everything in stunning HD and then to watch something on the viewing globe where, you know, Zach is going against something or Billy's fighting against something. It just doesn't make sense to have an entire 30th anniversary around that. It's just stupid. So again, I do not think that this is a flashback whatsoever. Now, another big thing that I can kind of think of is that if you're having Snizzard and Minotaur back, it just doesn't make sense to rebuild those suits just for 2 seconds worth of footage, or to mention that they're actually in this, because again, like, to rebuild those suits, it's gonna cost a lot of money, and those suits would have been destroyed by now. There's nothing like, oh, but you know, they probably saved them. No, I guarantee you those monster suits are completely and utterly trashed right about now because they don't have much of a shelf life after they're used, and it's been almost 30 years from it. But also, it just doesn't make sense to have two major big battles going on. And again, I could reiterate myself and go about this all the time and rant about it, but I just don't feel like they're going to put two fight scenes or two massive big fights in when literally you have the lead up to the big fight, which then kind of stops everything. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be talking about the whole thing of like, oh yeah, but the Pink Ranger is shorter, where obviously Catherine is taller, etc, etc. Now, I'm going to also pull your attention to Power Ranger Zeo. As soon as Tanya got her abilities and her powers, when she morphed for the first time, she shrunk down a little. So why can't Catherine just shrink a little bit if that's the main case? Who knows? I just feel like, again, this isn't a flashback, and this is all kind of a lead up straight into the main two fight scenes. Rita, her putties, etc, etc. Now, at the time of this recording, we are a bit of time away from when it airs, and we'll find out more about this, which again, I'm really kind of looking forward to. I really am looking forward to seeing how this all plays out. If I'm right, if I'm wrong, if the story is going to be absolutely fantastic, and how we're going to be looking at the whole suit in a little bit of time. And is the whole flashback a thing? Because I think this is going to be a major big topic for a while. Probably not, but I'd like to think it is. Anyway, what do you think about all of this? Let me know down below in the comments. Check out the Global Nerds podcast. Link will be in the description when it's up and ready. And with that, I will leave it there. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.
チャンネルをサポートしてくれてありがとうございます。チャンネル登録、高評価お願いします。以下のリンクから商品を入手することができます。